I was lying on a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling lights, when my phone slipped from my shaking hand. The message was short, cold. "We can't watch the twins. We have tickets." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because my chest hurt more than my broken ribs. The nurse leaned in and whispered, "Do you have family coming?" I swallowed hard. They said no. At that moment, my twins were at home, asleep, and I was about to be wheeled into surgery alone. That's when I realized something terrifying. I had spent 8 years paying my parents' bills, 8 years trying to earn their love. And when I finally needed them, they chose a concert. 2 weeks later, my grandfather stood up at his birthday party, holding a stack of papers, and looked straight at my parents. "Sit down," he said calmly. "You've lied long enough." And that's where my story truly began. Before I share this chapter of my life, if you've ever felt ignored, unheard, or underestimated, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Jossy Revenge, where every story has a heartbeat. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. I grew up believing love was something you earned by being useful. In our house, Vanessa was the dreamer, the artist, the one everyone clapped for. When she sketched dresses at the kitchen table, my parents framed them. When she talked about moving to New York for fashion, they dipped into savings without hesitation. Every achievement of hers was celebrated like a holiday. I was the quiet one, the studious one, the child who learned early not to ask for much. When I got into medical school, my mom smiled politely and said, "That's nice, Myra. Just don't forget family while you're chasing all that ambition. No party, no dinner, no proud announcement to relatives. Just a reminder not to outgrow them." I didn't mind, or at least I told myself I didn't. I was busy. Med school was brutal. Nights without sleep, exams that felt like war. I worked extra shifts, took scholarships, lived in tiny apartments. I told myself I was building something solid, something that mattered. By the time I became a cardiology resident, I was exhausted, but finally earning real money. That's when my dad first called. "Our mortgage is behind," he said casually, like he was asking for a favor. "Just for a few months," my mom added, "until things stabilize." I sent the money without hesitation. Then it was their health insurance. Then property taxes. Then Vanessa's temporary help, while she waited for her big break. Somewhere along the way, temporary became permanent. Every month, without a word to anyone, I paid. I set up automatic transfers. I covered shortfalls. I told myself it was family, that this was what good daughters did. Even when I became a single mother to twins after a relationship that quietly fell apart, I kept paying. I cut back on myself instead. I wore old scrubs. I skipped vacations. I took night shifts when my body begged for rest. I hired the cheapest daycare I could find, and still, every month, I sent money home. What would you do if the people who raised you only noticed you when they needed something? Sometimes my mom would call, not to ask how I was, but to complain. "The house needs repairs. Your father's stress is high. Vanessa's career is at a critical point." Once, after a 70-hour week, I joked, "Maybe I should invoice you all." There was a pause. Then my dad said, "Don't be dramatic." That word stuck with me. Dramatic. As if my exhaustion was a performance. Vanessa, on the other hand, lived loudly. She posted photos from fashion shows, tagged designers, smiled into cameras wearing clothes my money indirectly helped support. She called me sis in public comments and forgot my birthday in private. Still, I stayed quiet. I told myself love looked different for everyone. I told myself my parents were old-fashioned. I told myself sacrifice was noble. By the time my twins turned 3, I had paid over $300,000 toward my parents' life. Mortgage, insurance, utilities, repairs, things they never mentioned when family gathered and bragged about how independent they were. At holidays, my mom would hug me and say, "We're so proud of you, sweetheart." But she never asked if I was tired, never offered to babysit, never once said thank you. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that you didn't realize you were being used? The accident happened on a rainy Tuesday. I was driving home after a double shift, mind foggy, hands sore. A truck ran a light. Metal screamed. The world went white. I woke up in the hospital with cracked ribs, a damaged shoulder, and doctors talking about surgery like it was routine. I remember thinking not about myself, but about my kids. Who would watch them? That's when I called my parents. I expected hesitation, maybe complaints, but not what came next. "We already have plans," my mom said. "Vanessa got us tickets, front row, for Taylor Swift," my dad added almost proudly. I thought I misheard. "I'm having surgery," I whispered. "I need help. Just 2 days." Silence. Then my mom sighed. "You're always so intense, Myra. Hire someone. You can afford it." That was the moment something inside me finally cracked clean and sharp. Not my ribs, my loyalty. I hung up and stared at the wall, realizing the truth I'd avoided for years. I wasn't their daughter. I was their safety net. And I was done paying for love that never showed up when it mattered. I hired an emergency nanny that night. She arrived with soft eyes and steady hands. And she didn't ask why I was crying when I handed over the spare key. She just nodded and said, "Your babies will be okay." That sentence did more for me than anything my parents had said in years. Before they wheeled me into surgery, I did something I'd never done before. I logged into my banking app. One by one, I canceled every automatic transfer. Mortgage, insurance, utilities, tuition help. I stared at the final number money that had quietly left my account for 8 years, and my hands trembled. Not from fear, but from relief. Then I blocked their numbers. Not out of anger, out of self-preservation. Recovery was slow, painful, nights blurred into mornings. The twins clung to me like they sensed something had shifted. Between medications and physical therapy, I had time, too much time, to think. 2 weeks later, my Aunt Eleanor called. "Your grandfather knows," she said gently. I hadn't seen Grandpa Thomas in years. He lived quietly now, retired from the bench, his voice still steady, his mind still sharp. When he asked to see me, I expected concern. What I didn't expect was anger. He sat at the foot of my bed, holding a thin folder. "Why didn't you tell me?" I shrugged. I didn't think it mattered. He opened the folder. Bank statements, years of them, highlighted, organized. "It matters," he said. "And it ends now." He told me about his upcoming 70th birthday party, how the whole family would be there, how my parents had already been boasting about how well they were doing on their own. Then he looked at me and said, "I want you there, not to fight, just to sit beside me." I didn't understand his plan, but for the first time in a long while, I trusted someone completely. The party was held at a quiet event hall, soft music, linen tablecloths, smiles that felt rehearsed. My parents barely looked at me when I arrived. Vanessa gave me a stiff hug and whispered, "You look different." I was. I was no longer carrying them. Halfway through the evening, Grandpa Thomas stood up and tapped his glass. "I want to thank my granddaughter Myra," he said, "for reminding me what integrity looks like." My mom frowned. My dad shifted. Vanessa crossed her arms. Then Grandpa opened the folder. He spoke calmly, clearly, like a judge delivering facts. He read numbers, dates, amounts. He held up bank statements showing who paid the mortgage, who paid the insurance, who kept that house standing. Gasps rippled through the room. My mom stood. "She's confused. The accident." Grandpa raised a hand. "Sit." Then he read the text message aloud, the one where they refused to watch my children because they had concert tickets. The room went silent. Relatives stared. Whispers spread. Someone muttered, "Unbelievable." I finally stood. "I'm not here for revenge. I said softly. I just won't buy love anymore. My parents left early. Vanessa didn't meet my eyes. In the months that followed, the truth traveled faster than any rumor. Support disappeared. Bills piled up. The house went on the market. Vanessa lost a major design contract after the story reached her sponsors. A year later, my twins and I live peacefully. I started college funds for them. I laugh more. I sleep better. Last week, Vanessa called. She apologized. For the first time, it sounded real. Moral of the story: a year has passed, and my life feels quieter now, in the best way. I still work long hours, still juggle motherhood and medicine, but I no longer carry the weight of trying to earn love. My twins laugh more. I smile without forcing it. And when I look in the mirror, I finally see someone who chose herself without guilt. I learned something the hard way. Love that must be bought is not love, it's a transaction. And family doesn't mean sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left. Setting boundaries didn't make me cruel. It made me free. If my story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from Jossy Revenge. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway, I'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching.